Dr. Aimee Johnson, and this is Recon. He's my little Labrador puppy who just does not want to sit here. So today we are going to talk about something that I'm sure you may be concerned about, or you should be concerned about. Okay, so we're going to talk about chocolate. Now I know most of us don't think that chocolate is something we should be concerned about, but it's Easter time, and what does that mean? And that means that most of us have some form of chocolate, oftentimes in large quantities, in our house. And I don't know about yourself, but I have a very weak spot for chocolate. In fact, I think sometimes I need an intervention. And quite honestly, my favorite chocolate is dark chocolate. So understand that if you like chocolate, it's not out of the realm to believe that your dogs are going to like chocolate too. And in fact, they do. They would love to go Easter egg hunting with all of us because it really does taste very, very good to them. So I wanted to discuss today what it is in the chocolate that is toxic to them, what chocolates we need to worry about, and what you need to do if you suspect that your dog, or you know that your dog ate some of the chocolate laying around. So first, what is it that's toxic? The product or the chemical in the chocolate that's actually toxic to them is in the same family as caffeine, and so it's called theobromine. And depending on the kind of chocolate that you're dealing with, that's going to tell us how much of that chemical is actually in the chocolate. So theobromine acts a lot like caffeine. It's a stimulant, right? So it's going to increase heart rate, it's going to cause some hyperactivity, it's going to do those types of things. So if a dog were to eat it in large quantities, potentially you could have some side effects that are associated with those particular signs. And you know, ultimately, most of the time it's not fatal. I do want you to know that, but I do want you also to understand that though most of the time it's not fatal, that doesn't mean it can't be. In fact, in certain instances, if you've got a dog with underlying heart disease, or you've got a really, really tiny dog who eats a large quantity of dark chocolate, it absolutely can be fatal. So I want you to take this really seriously. So the types of chocolates that are out there, more and more popular these days, and I think it's because we believe that there's health benefits associated with it, are the dark chocolates. You know, years ago, that's what we baked with, but most people liked milk chocolate, and that's what we ate, and that was kind of what was laying around the house. Well, now that's kind of changed. And so the darker the chocolate, the more bitter the chocolate, the higher the level of the toxic substances in it, of the theobromine. So dark chocolate is way up here, and you've got about 140, 150 milligrams per ounce of chocolate. And then you drop down a tier and you go to your more milk chocolates, and that's around 40, 45 milligrams per ounce. And then you drop down to your white chocolates, and they have almost no theobromine in it. So if an animal were to eat some of the white chocolate, they might get a little bit of diarrhea, they might not feel real good, but they're probably going to be just fine because there's minimal trace amounts of the chemical in it. Milk chocolate, you still could have some adverse effects, and especially if you've got a little tiny dog. So let's say you've got a little tiny Yorkie or a little tiny Chihuahua that fits in the palm of your hand. So they weigh 2, 3, 4 pounds like some of those guys do these days. And they eat half a bag of Hershey's Kisses. Well, that is something to be concerned about, guys. You definitely need to be aware that they are likely going to show some adverse effects to that. And then let's change that scenario up a little bit more, and let's say what they now ate was a half a bag of the dark chocolates. That is an emergency in my mind. Okay, so you got little tiny dog, a much higher toxicity level in the chocolate, and that's going to equal an animal that probably is going to show some significant clinical signs of chocolate toxicity. Now, if you were to have a big, huge Mastiff, or maybe a big 98-pound Labrador, and they were to eat these chocolates, you know, again, it depends on how much they get and what kind of chocolate they get. But for the most part, a bigger dog who eats 5, 6, 10 Hershey's Kisses, even dark chocolates, are not going to have near the risk factor that those little tiny guys do, okay? because it's just the size of the animal versus how much they're consuming and how much they're absorbing into their system. So what are the signs of chocolate toxicity? Well, again, it's like caffeine, and I don't know if any of you have ever had to stay up all night and pull an all-nighter and study, and you just drink like 3 pots of coffee. I did that in vet school. I literally laid down to go to sleep that night about 4 a.m. and I couldn't keep, my eyes were doing this. I couldn't shut my eyes because they were just twitching, and my heart was just racing, and it was because I had really poisoned myself on caffeine. So the same thing you're going to see with these guys is they're going to be jittery. They may be tremoring. They're most likely going to have vomiting and diarrhea. If you were to feel their heart, it's just racing. They could, if they were small enough and ate enough of the theobromine or the toxic substance, they could actually get so bad that they go into seizure activity. And then where it really, really becomes a fatal issue is if you have an older dog, a geriatric dog, who's got a heart disease, and they eat enough of this dark chocolate, they could literally go into cardiac arrest and die. So please take this seriously because it really is important. So let's say your dog ate chocolate, what should you do? Okay, now you know kind of the signs. Maybe you see wrappers all over the floor, you see the torn up bag, or they're acting different and vomiting and diarrhea, and you really suspect that they got into the Easter basket. The first thing you need to do is simply call your vet, load them up into the car, and get them there, okay? Because what we're going to do is, one, we're going to ask you some questions. What kind of chocolate did they eat? How much do you think they ate? And we're going to immediately take action. We're going to induce vomiting. We want to get whatever's in their stomach out before it gets absorbed. We're going to give what we call activated charcoal. And what that does is it moves through the system and it's going to absorb any leftover toxins, and they're going to pass it out through the feces. We probably, depending on the severity of the signs we're seeing or how much chocolate we think they ate, we may also have to hospitalize them. They may have to go on intravenous fluids to try to flush their system even more. We may have to monitor their heart and take action should we have any problems with elevated heart rate that won't come down. Okay, so we're going to take immediate action. We're going to try to cleanse their system from the toxin, and we're going to make sure that they get through this okay. Okay, so really, really important. Don't waste time. Don't second guess yourself. Don't just wait and see what they do. Guys, take action. Treat them like you would your child, because that's basically what they're like, okay? And then remember, how can you protect them from this? Well, remember they're kids, right? They're babies, or they're like toddlers, and everything goes in their mouth. I mean, this stuff right here, Recon a second ago was chewing on this. I mean, they just check the world out through their mouth. So if they find chocolate, they're going to eat it. So please make sure that it's up where they cannot reach up and pull it down. And if you've got kiddos in the house, then you need to make sure that the kids understand too that, you know, typically Fido knows that little kids drop stuff all the time. So they're going to be, anything that goes in that child's mouth, they're going to be over there trying to investigate and steal it from them. So you need to make sure that you don't set them up for failure that way. Take the chocolate away from the child when the dog's around, okay? Make sure that the kiddos can't share their chocolate with their pups. And make sure that all the chocolate in the house is put away in a safe place. And then if you're doing that whole Easter egg hunt thing and you've got the dogs with you, you want to make sure that, one, they're on a leash, and two, if it's in your own yard, that you make sure you peruse that yard and you clean up everything that might have gotten left over. Okay, guys? So I want you to have a happy Easter. I want you to have a fun Easter, and I want you to remember that this goes for Halloween or Christmas or any of the other holidays, or just every single day if you're a chocoholic like I am. We must protect these kiddos from chocolate toxicity, okay? Because they don't know how to not indulge. They're going to eat it. So I hope everyone has a happy, fantastic, wonderful Easter. And if you like what you're seeing here, if you like the content, please check out my website at www.creaturecomfortsah.com. I'll have more information on our blog. If you'd like to download a PDF about chocolate toxicity, you can do that. And I would love for you to sign up for my newsletter, and that way every month you can get more great information like this. Okay, well, thank you very much from myself and Recon, who is asleep now. And once again, have a wonderful day and a wonderful Easter.